Here's a question for you. Did you ever wonder how cornflakes are made? I bet you didn't. Well, maybe you did. I've always been fascinated with how things are made. So when I was in college and I was in a touring choir, we were kind of our college ambassadors during spring break. We would go around to different parts of the country and do concerts in various churches. So my junior year, I was the vice president of the touring choir, and the vice president's job was to coordinate all the schedules for all the churches and make sure that the church families knew that they were going to have to be housing 2 to 4 students for the night that we were singing in their church. And then one night of the tour we always set aside as a church night. I'm not exactly sure why. It was kind of fun. We were kind of like camping but in church. So like in a gymnasium at a church or fellowship hall or whatever. The boys camped on one side and the girls camped on the other. I don't know, it was weird. But it was kind of fun. So anyways, my junior year, we were going to the Midwest. And we had our church night scheduled the day after we were in Chicago. So we were somewhere in the Chicago suburbs. So my other job as a vice president, in addition to scheduling the concert events and all the coordination stuff that went with that, was to find fun things to do during the day between traveling places. Like if we were going to be in the same general area for a couple of days, to try to find something interesting or fun that the choir could all do. Now there's about, I don't know, 30 people in this touring choir, I'm going to guess. So this year when we were in Chicago, we saw the John G. Shedd Aquarium and the Adler Planetarium, and I'm pretty sure it was the Children's Science Museum, if I'm not mistaken. But the day before our church night, I made arrangements and scheduled for us to visit the Kellogg's factory. So we actually got to go into the Kellogg's factory. They made us put on these very attractive hairnets and go through the factory. We got to see how the cornflakes were made. So we walked on, of course it was all behind glass, but you could see the whole production floor. And the corn went in one end and they crushed it up, and you saw these big huge crushers. Then the corn, after it had been crushed, the corn was cooked, then crushed, then mixed with, I guess, a little bit of salt and water, and I'm not sure what else. Then it went into these big, huge, like turbine cookers that had all this like cornmeal mush inside of them, and they would rotate around to finish the cooking process of this corn mush. And then after so many rotations, it would stop. And the bottom of this big, huge circular vat had an opening on it. And the opening, the little, I don't know, spigot, would open, and out plopped, yes, plop is actually the right word, this steaming pile of corn mush onto this conveyor belt. And it looked so disgusting. I mean, it was just like, bleh, bleh, bleh. Just big, huge piles of steaming mush going down this conveyor belt. And then it went into the next room. So we went along the little trail and went to the next room. And then in the next room, a big, huge roller rolled out all this smush into one big, long, like conveyor belt of flattened mush. So it would roll it out so that it was really, really thin. And as it was really, really thin, then it rolled into the next room where they actually cooked this cornmeal mush in one big, huge, solid strip, which I never would have imagined. So after the corn was cooked, there was like this, you know, the king of all cornflakes was, I don't know how many hundreds of feet long and feet wide or whatever. It was hilarious. And then these big rollers that had like these little fingers on it, the granddaddy cornflake, the king of all cornflakes, would go underneath this roller, and it would just kind of like break up the ginormous corn chip into size corn chips. And then of course it went into the, you know, bagging and boxing and all that kind of stuff. But the coolest part about this trip was, well, that was the coolest part, but the coolest part about this tour was at the end of the tour, every one of us that got on the tour got to choose a free full-size box of cereal. And I think our choices were Corn Flakes or Frosted Flakes, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on the Frosted Flakes, but you know. So every single student got to choose a box of cereal. So on our way to the church, where we were going to have our concert that night and then stay overnight, we stopped at the grocery store and bought however many tens of gallons of milk. I don't know how many gallons we bought, but gallons of milk, so that our church night, when we woke up in the morning, we all had Corn Flakes or Frosted Flakes for breakfast. So anyways, I thought that was kind of cool. I have no idea what made me think of that today. There's nothing about my day that had anything to do with corn or cereal or Corn Flakes or any of that, but for some reason that just popped into my memory, so I got to share it with you. We are getting ready here in Virginia for snow tonight, oddly enough. It's been like 60 degrees today, but by midnight it's supposed to start snowing and snow for 12 hours, so I don't know, maybe I wish I would have had some Corn Flakes because I might be needing something to eat in the morning. But I hope you all are staying safe and that you're doing well and that you have a great night and a wonderful day tomorrow. Take care and God bless.